My great-grandmother broke my father's 4-day childhood fever in Jamaica using bush tea. She never left Jamaica. In Britain, my grandmother worked as an auxiliary nurse for the NHS. She travelled to Britain as part of the Windrush generation. Her hours were long. She could not care for my father, and I remember waiting with my step-grandfather to pick her up after a shift. Her shift would often overrun. She never went to Africa nor wanted to go there. Sometimes she sang a song with the refrain, "Africa, lovely Africa." Before colonialism, our local forests were a source of medicine in many regions of Africa. This is because we lived with the forest and knew the medicinal properties of the plants, trees, and clays within them. Today it is challenging to find documentation of these healthcare systems, but similar forest societies in Southeast Asia use up to 6,500 plants for medicinal purposes. Tropical medicinal plants are potent and effective. Today, half of the medicines in Britain originate from plants and trees in tropical forests. Colonizers assumed Africans did not really know anything at all about the African environment. Colonizers declared that they had discovered it all themselves. Instead of being humbled by realizing how many places and people they were previously ignorant of, colonizers insisted they were increasing the sum of worthwhile human knowledge, dismissing others as ignorant and less than human. Today, we can distinguish ourselves from colonizers by assuming that intact African communities knew about their environment and had extensive knowledge of the medicinal properties of the plants and trees around them. British colonizers enslaved us and decimated our forests. As a result, the African forest is characterized as unproductive. Our African society is also characterized as unproductive. Our medicinal plants and practices are destroyed in attempts to raise the forest to make it productive. A productive forest is a felled forest, cleared to make space for crops for British foods, harvest tropical hardwoods for British furniture, and even make boxes for British medicines. Our health was so unimportant that those who got sick whilst enslaved, travelling to the slave ships or clearing the forest, and still had a little strength, were tied to what remained of the decimated forests and left to die. British colonisers ship us to the Caribbean. We are to replace a previous Arawak population that European diseases have decimated. We are loaded onto ships. If the boat is too heavy or if there are not enough provisions, some of us are thrown overboard in good health. Some of us are thrown overboard because we are sick. This happened so often that it changed the migrational path of sharks. They realised shipping paths were a constant source of food. We find some of our medicines again in the Caribbean forests and bush. The British colonisers enact a brutal regime to decimate these places too. The British government pays reparations to former enslavers and not formerly enslaved people. To develop our economy, we must take on many debts. In this way, our countries are independent in name only. The British government effectively creates push factors that move us again. Some of us go to work in British medical centres. These are full of medicines synthesized from plants and trees that colonizers decimated, sometimes even to extinction, in our former countries. The British government wants to enable healthcare free at the point of delivery. In Britain, we get sick of illnesses that we don't even have in the lands we left behind. As a black community, we consistently continue to have the worst healthcare outcomes in Britain. British government legislation means that when some members of the black community in Britain ask for healthcare, they face detention, imprisonment, and deportation. Black individuals and groups in Britain are shaping contemporary healthcare. Their achievements are extraordinary. This box holds medicines in use in Britain at the time of the destruction of African and Caribbean medicinal forests. Many medicines in this box would have been ineffective, and some were even deadly. Half of the effective medicines in British chemists today owe their origin to materials derived from tropical plants. These medicine bottles were housed in a felled mahogany tree. That tropical tree would have shared 4 square miles of forest with 749 species of trees and up to 1,500 flowering plants. Before decimating the forest, colonizers examined only 1% of its trees and plants for medical purposes. British colonizers destroyed thousands of plants and trees in Africa and the Caribbean. Many medicines made from extracted tropical plants have been synthesized in Britain and made into medical products. British law enables medical companies to patent these medicines down to the molecular level. African and Caribbean countries saddled with debts cannot afford to purchase synthetic versions of these plant medicines. African and Caribbean countries face legal action for theft if they attempt to create a similar synthetic version of these plant medicines. These medicines are based on extracts from plants stolen from African and Caribbean land. 1.6 million Africans died of diseases these commercialized medicines can treat in 2015 alone. This Windrush anniversary, a new scheme to attract migrant health workers targeting Jamaica in particular, but also the Philippines and India, is underway, called Earn, Learn and Return. It is a phrase previously applied to a cycle of lifestyle choices of wealthy entrepreneurs, whereby return means return money and skills back to society via philanthropic ventures. Return does not mean your right to remain is withdrawn or go back to where you came from.